Gamers are dying out.
Gaming has changed. We've got new data that suggests 93% of kids prefer playing games on phones. Not PC, not console, phones.
No. It's just because they don't know what it's like to play on a PC.
They no longer identify as gamers. They identify as players of a specific game.
For me and a lot of WoW players probably also that were stuck inside the cave, because there's a lot of WoW players that are not gamers. They just simply play WoW and that's it.
Games resurged in America post-1980s game crash.
Yes.
They were sold as toys for children.
Right.
And that decided the marketing for like the next 40 years. You had Rob the Robot marketed to young boys. Call of Duty for the cool teenagers. Oh, of course.
Oh, and we had Tony Hawk, and we had all the wrestling games. We had Super Smash Brothers. We had everything, and it was awesome, bro. It was so good.
Well, we've got cinematic sad dad games. Like
I'm so sick of The Last of Us has done irreparable damage to the gaming industry. It made every annoying, pretentious theater kid that makes video games think that they can be a Hollywood director.
Marketing around the game industry hasn't changed with technology. They haven't changed with demographics.
They tried. They tried for a long time to market video games to, quote, everyone and to go after modern audiences. But what they realized is that there aren't any. And the real audiences of a military tactical shooter where you run around and kill other people with guns, in fact, turns out to be a majority men. That's right, it's mostly guys.
93% of under 13s prefer playing games on their phone.
They haven't experienced a PC. They don't know what it's like. That's the reason why. They don't get it yet. And also, they're under 13. Their brain can't understand a complex video game because they're stupid. You have to understand that, like, kids nowadays, like, their brains are probably smaller. And even if they're not physically smaller, they're like, you know, like, functionally smaller. Like, kids nowadays, like, you got to understand, like, they're really stupid. You think about it, right? They grew up on Cocomelon. They evolve into Roblox. They have, like, weirdos talking to them at Roblox. And then, you know, they're like 10 years old, 11 years old. They start doing Galaxy Gas. They forget how to write their name that they learned at 9 years old. And then by the time they get into high school, they can't even do math. Like, no, kids are, like, I don't think people understand how bad it is. Like, yeah, then they're on TikTok trying to do dances and be a Fortnite influencer. They've got TTV next to their name or YouTube next to their name, trying to, like, stream snipe IShowSpeed and, like, be the next famous person. And, like, this, no, I'm serious. Like, that's what's going on here. It's really bad, bro. It's so bad. I don't even blame the kids. They don't know what they're missing. That's the problem.
Only 15% prefer a core PC. And by PC, it's probably a laptop. Even 32% of millennials now prefer playing on phones.
I think also another big reason is that millennials, and this is what happens with older people in general, is that complex video games, something like World of Warcraft or something like Expedition 33, for example, these are video games that require a tremendous amount of, like, mental, like, decision making and awareness. And as a person gets older, or as a person is younger, both of these segments are just simply not interested in that. The young people can't process it, and the older people don't want to because they're busy. And so really you have this middle ground of, like, people from, I would say, ages like 12 to like 30 to like 40, right? And, like, they're the ones that are really, you're making those, like, complex video games for. Those are the ones that really care about that. And I've realized this as myself, because I think to myself, like, how did I feel about myself, like, when I was 21, 22 years old playing video games? Being good at video games was one of the most important things to me. Being able to accomplish goals in video games mattered more than almost anything else. Like, I would sacrifice almost anything in order to get more time playing video games. But then as I got older and as my life changed and as I just did that over a period of time and I gained those achievements, you know, in both real life achievements and also in game achievements, I simply lost that momentum. I don't care. I don't care as much anymore. Taste change over time. Yeah, it's just a game. At the end of the day, it really is just a game. A lot of my friends, like, they're already married and have kids and everything. And even if they wanted to get back into World of Warcraft, they just wouldn't really have the time to do it. So they stick to simpler games and things that they can still enjoy. They like gaming, but they just don't have the time to invest into a complex game. That's it. When you're a young man, especially, there are very few things in your life that you can work towards and really get a genuine payoff that's tangible. So I think video games for young men are that outlet where they can really work towards a goal and achieve that goal systematically. And as young men get older, they obviously achieve more prominence in the workplace. They achieve more prominence socially. And the desire and the need to fulfill that desire through a video game diminishes because it's being fulfilled elsewhere. And I think that's a good thing. But that's, I think, the reason why a lot of people, at least my age and older, are moving away from competitive gaming experiences and hardcore farming game experiences. That's the reason why.
Let's look at Roblox as a case study. Roblox has existed since 2007. The pandemic kind of changed everything. Mobile play massively increased. Roblox kept growing. Grow a Garden has the highest concurrent user base ever, with 21.3 million players. It was made by a 16-year-old in 3 days. So, you know, compare your AAA studio to a 16-year-old in 3 days, and feel sad. Call of Duty and Counter-Strike are basically just Roblox, but for boomers. Other channel, I cover a lot of World of Warcraft because it unfortunately got its claws into me when I was young, and now I can't escape. And to many people, World of Warcraft is basically the only game they need. The only thing they play.
Exactly. That's like, for a long time, the only game I played was World of Warcraft. And I played it for over 8 hours every single day. Thousands of hours.
2025 report shows the number of people playing just 1 to 3 games per year has actually increased consistently.
Do you want to know why? It's number one because what a lot of games try to do is they try to have different reasons for you to log on and play. And so, like, for example, like, you know, WoW has pet battles. They have PvP. They're going to have housing in the new expansion. They have raiding, dungeons, mount farming. And so even if you don't want to play the core game loop, there are other things that you can do inside of the game that keep you engaged inside of the general ecosystem. Gacha games have this as well. Like, if you've played Honkai Star Rail, if you've played Genshin Impact, if you've played Wuthering Waves, you'd know this. There's always these little puzzle games, these little bullshit events that you do. And the reason why they do that is they want to keep you inside of the ecosystem of the game. And also, here's another reason, is that more and more video games are becoming more complex and more metagamed. It's very hard for a person to maintain consistency playing multiple competitive games unless that's all they do, or they're just really talented. In general, keeping up with metagames has become harder and harder and harder over time. And so what's happened is that people have just consolidated around playing a handful of games or just one game, because that way they can just keep up with that one singular game and they don't feel like they're behind.
Those people don't think of themselves as gamers. So what does that mean for the next generation of games? The incentives are changing because the audiences are changing. Companies that need a larger audience will need to meet people where they are. We're seeing that games like Genshin and Infinity Nikki look like Ubisoft-style mega games, but they're launching across console, PC, and phone.
Most games have to be phone compatible now, and I think you're going to see this happen more and more. I also don't think this is necessarily a bad thing as long as the gameplay isn't diminished. If you keep in mind that a lot of the games that we grew up playing, things like Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, you know, like I've recently was playing Hollow Knight, like many of the games that we played growing up could be played on mobile easily. So this is also a very regional trend. So, for example, in China, mobile gaming is much more prevalent than PC gaming comparatively to the West here. And it's also true in South America, because over there, a lot of them have phones, but few of them have gaming PCs. Like, for example, like in China, it's much more common for people to use public transportation. And when they're using public transportation, they're able to sit there on their phone and play a video game. That doesn't really work culturally here in America because most people have cars. So over there, you're going to have a totally different like subset of people and a different set of desires, right? And so what's happening now is that you're seeing a convergence of phone games and also PC games. And I think this is a good thing, by the way. And you're seeing that now with Where Winds Meet. This game's going to be playable on phone, and it looks pretty good, I would say.
So far in this video, we've not talked about linear single-player narrative games, which so far do seem to be limited to sad dad games.
Well, I think that the problem with linear single-player games is that a lot of them are trash. They're written by theater kids that couldn't get a job anywhere legitimate, so they're making a shitty video game. A lot of them have like weird politics in them that doesn't really resonate with any audience except for the people writing it. And also the gameplay is below average, and the story is expected to make up for it, but the story is also below average, so you just end up with a game that's not very good. That's really what the problem is with a lot of these story-based games.
When great games release, they aren't trying to appeal to everyone. They are absolutely maxing what they should be as a game for their people. If that is so good, it can expand its audience, then we see these games grow, and very often grow massively.
Yeah, you saw this with Elden Ring, you saw it with Baldur's Gate 3, and you saw it recently with Expedition 33. Really good AAA games will succeed and will have transcendent success and cultural relevance. But the reality is that the majority of these AAA games are horrible. Great example of this is Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's just a shitty game. Everything about it is shitty. Like, I guess the graphics are good, but besides that, it's just bad. And so why would somebody go and play that? A lot of video games aren't video games anymore. They're like this weird life simulator story thing, and you're not actively doing anything. The story, I think, is good, but you need to have a good balance between the two. And I think that some games, and this is especially true with the beginning of games, like where it's like the first 2 hours of this video game is an exposition where you're expected to learn 30 new proper nouns, 10 different terms, 3 different functionalities in the history of this world that you just learned about 30 minutes ago, 3 generations of it. It's overwhelming. And I think that there's a lot of single-player games that do not let you just play the game. It's a huge problem.
What we've learned is the market may be expanding and changing, but even now, in an industry that rewards big games and entrenched audiences, those games can still be made. They can still be enjoyed, and that is what matters. And I think the biggest lesson of all of these is that execution matters and that focus matters. Expedition 33 is everything you would want, with nothing that you would not want for a game.
This is a good video from Bellior. Yeah, I think this is a good video too. I'm sad to see all of the video gamers and, you know, the kids nowadays that are going to mobile games, but I'm also not surprised. Like, I remember whenever I was a little kid, I had no intention of playing a game like EverQuest because it just seemed slow, complicated, and boring. Like, I would much rather play Halo because it was direct, it's fast, it's kinetic, you can easily understand what's going on, and things are happening quickly. And so, really, kids being involved and being interested in more simplistic games like Roblox, I don't really think should come as a surprise to anyone. And I think that if you go back and you look at a lot of the games that you probably played as a kid, especially like under 13, the majority of them probably were simplistic. And even games that have like a perception of complexity, like Legend of Zelda, are not really complex, right? Halo's not really complex. That's the way that a lot of kids play games, for sure. And so because video games and Roblox are designed for a 9-year-old, then big surprise, they're going to appeal to 9-year-olds.